Hi folks. So yeah, don't know if I wanted to start off with a quote. I don't know if it's in relation to what I want to talk about. Basically it's whereas it's society often forgives the criminal, it never forgets the dreamer. Okay, it's by Oscar Wilde. I'm not sure if that ties in with what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is being underappreciated. Okay. You know, it's a funny thing because I'm saying just in general, as human beings, it's so important to be appreciated and blessed for who we are and what we are about and what we have achieved. That's also part of this talk, blessing and being appreciated. Now, for one, I can say that you go on this amazing journey of self-discovery, of self-awareness, you integration of the shadow. You do a hell of a lot of hard work, really honest and good work. You really do. I mean, you sacrifice a way of life that you once knew for something more adventurous, something more outrageous, something more extreme, ecstatic, exciting, whatever it is. But and you go through a hell of a lot. There's no question about it. And you really you leave the ocean or the shore, the ocean. You leave the shoreline in a way, and you go into the deep mystery of ocean, and you really change for the better. You really become more humbled. You really become more centered. You really become more still, more peaceful, better integrated, etc., etc. Healthy, all in body, mind, and spirit. And you feel in a way that who you have, what you've gone through, and what you've become, and what you're continuously unfolding to be, and what you represent is really something of value and something worthwhile and something that is to be respected and honored and appreciated by others. Like, you've gone beyond the city walls in a way, and you've brought back the good news. You brought back something beyond the city walls, beyond Plato's cave, something of substance, something of truth, something of meaning, something of love, something of purpose, something of hope, whatever it is, something of beauty, okay, something of transformation, there's something that's transformational, and you bring this back, through your own development, through your own story, through your own discovery, through this whole process, and you think to yourself, like, in a way, how much of value you can be to others, which obviously you are, and how much, what you have to offer, how bright your light shines, can be of so much value to others, and they really will acknowledge and really feel indebted to you in a way for how far you've come and what you've sacrificed, and the darkest parts that you've gone into and that you've faced and that you've managed to come through on the other side. Your bravery, your courage, your commitment, your conviction, right? And you come back to the very people in your life, and they look at you as nothing special, or like ordinary. What's the big deal here, type of thing. Or even worse than that, not just not recognizing you for what you are, what you've been through, what you become, but also undermining you, like maybe even laughing at you for being maybe sensitive, for maybe being deep, for maybe being realistic, rational, emotional, okay, excited, thrilled, in awe, okay, and it's not like that at all. I mean, I forgot my point here. What I was saying, but it's like you mocked a lot of the time. You mocked for what you've become and what you radiate. Your light, you mocked for it. You're ridiculed for it. Okay, and that's the statement. Society often forgives the criminal, it never forgives the dreamer. It never. forgives the dreamer. And that's what we become. We become a dreamer, right? I mean, not a sleep dreamer, but a dreamer. And it's very hard to comprehend. It's very hard to comprehend how far you've gone, how much you've traveled, what you have to offer others. A way out of their madness, a lot of the time. A deep insight into how they can connect to themselves and to nature and to the cosmos and the logos and to their true nature, everything. You know, a real work of art. What you have to offer them. And they don't recognize it. They don't even appreciate it. A lot of the time, they're very cynical about what you're talking about, or who you've become, or who, they laugh at you. They think you've lost your mind a lot of the time. And so what I'm saying here, folks, is something very, very hard. It's very hard. And you know what? It's one thing if you're not appreciated by your next door neighbor who you barely don't know, and they don't know you, okay, and they don't know anything about you. I mean, it's hard enough as human beings how much we disrespect each other and underappreciate each other, and how we manipulate each other. Yeah. So that's one thing if it's strangers and it's people you don't, but when it's people in your life that overlook you or underappreciate you or take you for granted, that's very hard to sit with. That's the hardest. That's the hardest part. The people that know you, because they've been with you for a very long time and they've seen where you were once at. Okay, and now they see you, and it's like, taken for granted. And so a lot of the time you think to yourself, well, why do I do this work anyways? Because it can be so disheartening that sometimes you feel like all your efforts are in vain. All that you stand for is in vain. Like I've mentioned this before, you feel like you're a plumber in the desert. You've got no job to do, there's nothing for you to do. Right? In fact, you're an outcast. In fact, you don't fit in. It's like, with all your knowledge, with all your wisdom, with all your experience, with all your insight, with all your love, with all your talent, your skills, your blessings, whatever it is, all of that, nobody's interested around a social event or table or something like that. Nobody, no. In fact, it's not warranted. And not only that, but you sacrifice yourself in a way because now you can't talk the garbage that everyone else is talking, and you can't play along with the game that everybody's playing. And so you've isolated yourself. You've made yourself an outsider. You've made yourself foreign to the people that you know in your environment, whatever it is. So like sometimes, and you can think to yourself, well, this is just one side of it. Like you think, wow, this is what I've done. I've isolated myself. Okay, there's obviously massive benefits to it. But when the heart is sore sometimes and the mind is up to its tricks, which it does happen, it can say, well, look, I've sacrificed being a player in the game, and for what? Because at the same time, like, I want to bring back the gems and the jewels and the gold and the light for the other, and they're not even interested. So it's like, so what benefit am I anyways? Like, in vain, in a sense, in a way. I mean, I can see how if somebody's starting off on this journey in the beginning, and all of a sudden they realize they're losing their family, they're losing their best friends, they're losing their partner, whether it be a woman or a man, or their relationships, they're losing it, because they're going their own way. And then when they come back, I'm saying when times when they get, they want to sort of still connect with those people and whatever it is, because the whole world, everyone else is strangers, in a sense, and they want to come back to them, and they look at them and say, to hell with you, we don't even recognize you. And you think you're coming back and saying, okay, I've changed, whatever, and maybe we can't get along. I mean, I'm not the same anymore, but I've got something better. I'm new and improved. And they're like, okay, that's maybe a bad example, but I think for some of us, we can feel that way at times when our hearts are really sore and broken. We really feel taken for granted, and we really start weighing it up and say, well, like, what did I do this journey for? I'm just being hypothetical, but sometimes, why have I taken upon this task? Why have I answered the calling? Okay, and that happens. That happens. I must say, for myself, I don't really have those doubts. I'll never go back. I am who I am. I've taken this path. I have no regrets in that regard. If I don't still, can't play the game anymore with others, people, family members, I don't give I don't care whatsoever. I haven't lost anything. I've only gained, folks. I've only gained. But another thing is that this is a part of growing up. This is a part of growing up and realizing the reality of the people in your lives and what's going on in your own life. It's being true. It's being real. It's because now you're not playing by the mask anymore. You're looking for things that are real, that are substantial, that are dense, that are meaningful, are rich. You know, you just can't manage with the superficial relationships and connections that you had with other people. And so you're looking for it, right? You're looking to connect with everything in so much of a deeper way, whether it's your own body, whether it's the food that you eat, whether it's the nature outside, whether it's the spirit inwards and outwardly, whatever it may be. You're looking to connect. You're looking for deep experience. You're looking to go the depths. And so what am I saying here is that you're looking for reality, you're looking for truth, okay? Because the lie won't work anymore, the game won't work anymore. And what I'm saying is that for many of us, you have to realize the fact that you're taken for granted and you're underappreciated. You got to take that into consideration, because if you don't realize that, subconsciously you might think there's something wrong with you, when there isn't. It's just the reaction that you're getting from other people. It's just the fact that you feel unappreciated. You don't feel blessed. And I want to get into that, what I mean by being blessed at the same time. But what I'm trying to say here is that, like, often of the time we go through life in our relationships, mom and dad, brother and sister, uncle and aunt, you know, girlfriend and boyfriend, best friends since high school, colleagues at work, and we're all wearing a mask. And what I'm saying is that through this awakening, or through this consciousness, or through this development, or through maturity, or connecting more with the truth, you realize how thin everything else is in your life that isn't real. And one of the things you've got to realize is that you're not going to be appreciated and mostly taken for granted by all those people in your life that really that your relationship was very thin with, that you were superficially connected with. That's what you got to realize. And it's not you that there's the problem, okay? Or that there's something that, it's not gelling. There's something. Why you're not gelling with other people? Why you're not meeting eye to eye? It's not something wrong with you. Why you don't feel appreciated? Why you don't feel acknowledged? Why you don't feel blessed or celebrated for what you become, what you are? It's not because of you, right? I mean, I'm probably talking to people that are sort of early in on this, all right? But it's not because of you. It's because they don't know what they're dealing with. Okay? And that's kind of what I want to get to in closing. But let me just see how much battery life I have on this camera. Yeah, I might cut off quite soon. Any minute. But not to worry, I've got a backup of audio going here on my computer. So we'll see how long it lasts. This idea of blessing, folks. Blessing means to be, the word blessing, what I just uploaded a talk by Michael Mead where he refers to the word blessing, what the definition is. I think it means something about wounds, actually, funnily enough. But what I'm saying in this case of blessing is actually being recognized for who you are, and recognized also at the same time, or appreciated or validated, not validated, but appreciated and recognized for who you've become. So by nature, by default, who you are, and then for the process of what you're becoming. Okay, and what I'm saying is that we need to be blessing each other all the time. I think parents need to be blessing their children all the time. And blessing doesn't mean that it's conditional. This is a big point here. True blessing doesn't mean that it's conditional. That doesn't mean I'll bless you if you make me proud. Let's say if a parent is that's the negotiation with the child. I'll bless you if you make me proud. If you listen to what I have to say, if you follow in my footsteps. Okay? But in an unhealthy way. Like you know what I'm saying? A dogmatic type of parent. Okay? An abusive type of parent. A narcissistic type of parent. Codependent type of parent, right? I will bless you only if. So no, you bless the child no matter what. Okay, that's the parent. It's not a negotiation here. It's not up for discussion here. The child is blessed by default for who the child is, And then the child is acknowledged and blessed further for the good, what is developing in the child. And that needs to be done often of the time, well, sorry, by the parents. And then when the child grows up, I mean, let's say for myself, I need to be blessed by people that understand who I am, who I've become today. It's no point in me being blessed by somebody, I'm sorry to say, who has got no experience of personal growth. Alright, in short, personal growth, call it whatever you want to call it. There's no point in it, because they can admire you, but a lot of the time they can't really deeply appreciate. They can't go to the depths of saying how to really bless you. They can't really. It's not in their capability. What am I saying? Like, okay, so let me give an example. Michael Mead gives this example. He's saying that if you are able to play the guitar, okay, let's say for myself I'm able to play the guitar, it's meaningful to me in a way where other people who can't play the guitar say, wow, you play very nicely. I mean, that's nice to hear, but it's even more so if I hear it from somebody else who's actually even better at playing the guitar than I am. That's really blessing. Okay, that's really truly being blessed, because the person who knows how to play the guitar very well knows the struggle of what you've had to go through in order to play very well. They know the commitment that you've had to make. They know the sacrifice that you have to make. They know the challenges that you've had to face. They know what it's like, and so they can fully bless you and appreciate for the journey that you've made. Okay, for the journey that you've made. You see how much battery life. It's going to cut off, and I don't want to lose the file. Yeah, I'll have to cut off anyways in 2 minutes. But you see the difference. Somebody who just appreciates that you play guitar well is nice, but to be fully validated, to be fully appreciated, to be fully recognized, you need somebody who can play just as well as you, or even more so than you. Or even somebody who's at least playing the guitar and has an idea of how far you are advanced in playing guitar, how brilliant you are at playing guitar. And they can look up to you with such awe and admiration and be like, one day I wish I could play like you. And that is almost the same, but it's almost like a compliment in a way. It's somebody who, it's a compliment, because maybe they don't really know how hard it was for you to get to where you are at. And so that's really blessing somebody. Okay, let me switch off the camera, folks. We'll just go to audio for now. So that's really, really blessing somebody. And so what I'm saying, I mean, there's much to be said on all this blessing. There's much more to be said on what blessing involves. Again, I feel that like fathers won't necessarily bless their children because maybe they feel in competition. They feel maybe that like a highly competitive father will not bless their child because they're scared that the child will outshine them, will do a better job than the father has done, will gain more public recognition than the father has, that the son will be more successful than the father, and therefore the father will be resentful of that, and therefore does not empower their son, but actually will sabotage their son. Just like a woman who I've spoken about before, this is just an example, but I've seen it with my own eyes. A woman who was once very attractive has a daughter that's probably just as attractive as the mother, and how the mother sabotaged the daughter by getting the daughter to be overweight so the daughter wouldn't be a threat to the mother, and that the attention of people wouldn't go from the mother to the daughter. So the mother deliberately sabotaged her own daughter. Okay, now we're talking about shadow, folks. We're talking about shadow, the shadow that's unleashed, and how we unleash our shadow on other people. I mean, with all the best intentions. with all the best intentions. So that's what we think we're doing. That's why the shadow is tricky, folks. And so what happens is that you can't be blessed by somebody who's insecure, if you will. Somebody who's not in their own way understands that they've also been blessed. Because really, until you've been blessed, you don't actually have that validation. I would like to think there's something almost missing. You know, it's one thing if, let's say, you're a musician and you write the most incredible music and you do so in your bedroom, okay, and you got a full album, but you know what, no one else has ever heard that music. So up where you are now, you can appreciate how good your music is, and you can say it's pretty darn good. You can compare it to other people, but you haven't got the feedback of other ears, of other people who can experience your music and say what it feels like to them and how it transforms them. So you don't have that yet, and so you don't necessarily know. And doesn't mean just with music. It can be with writing, it can be poetry, it can be dance, it can be in arts and crafts, okay, in paintings, in sculpturing, or whatever it may be, in all your creativity. It can be in, I'm just talking about in this realm of creativity, but until you've actually had the sort of feedback of others and how it's enriching their life and what they're experiencing through and what it means to them, it's you on your own, and it's very difficult. I mean, it's very important that you still hold strongly by it and say, well, I'm not really invested in the opinion of others, but I'd really like to know if they can recognize the genius of what I'm doing here, my own genius, if they can recognize that, okay? And if they can recognize that, it takes you even higher, it even complements you even more. And maybe in their blessing of recognizing your genius and your creativity, your ability, that's also where you feel more inspired. You know, that's where we feeding off each other's energy in a very symbiotic way. It's like I'm impressing upon you, I'm showing you something magical, and in a way, in your return, you're giving me that you're giving me the feedback, which is just enhancing my creativity and ability. You know, we have a relationship here, folks. I'm saying on human beings on an energetic level. And so coming back is that somebody cannot truly really bless you in the way that you need to be blessed if they themselves firstly haven't been blessed, and if they themselves are not healthy or well integrated or awake or conscious or something or other. You don't know. Sometimes what they can be doing is flattery. They're flattering you because they're trying to manipulate you. You understand? You understand how important it is to find the others in this way, to be blessed by the others. And not just, even it can be a family member that says, well, you've come so far. That's nice. It's cool. It's good to hear. If you get that. But to really be able to really is by somebody who's also traveled the same distance or even further. And so be very wary of the people in your life that bless you who, I mean, it's nice, but don't get carried away by it. I wouldn't take much of it. And I know this sounds very sort of, because they might also be coming from a lot of their own pain. That's also another thing which sounds a bit strange, but like they almost admire you. You understand? And blessing is not about admiring somebody. I mean, it may be part of it, but maybe it is admiration, but not in the sense of be like, I want to be like you. You see, it's not about the individual and the person, so to speak. Anyway, this can go in many directions. But so what I'm saying is that, so coming back to even where I was saying about being taken for granted, unappreciated, not just for being who you are, but for the service that you provide for others in your life. because nobody else is providing. Well, if there isn't somebody like you, not you per se, but the conscious level of where you are acting from, or experiencing from, or radiating from, the level of consciousness, then they're not going to have anybody else like. If there isn't anybody else on that level, then they're not going to have that experience. It's really only coming from you. I mean, it really is. You're very unique. You're one of a kind. And so, what was I saying? It's such a late hour here, folks. I'm not sure which point I was trying to make here. But yeah, so it's not the people in I've completely lost my point. Let me re-listen to this, and I'll pick up where my point was. So yeah, it can be all type of services. One of the things is like holding an emotional space for others. Like that's a tremendous service that one can afford others. It really is. And you can afford them a space, an emotional space of where there's no judgment. I don't like to use that word because I don't think a judgment is a bad thing. But where you, I've spoken about what holding an emotional space for others, where they actually feel safe, and they can let their mask down, and they can feel vulnerable, and they can feel naked and exposed, and they can still feel, that you will not judge them. I'm just using the word judge them, or ridicule them, or think of them as pathetic, or think of them as weak or something, or whatever it is. But a service of holding an emotional space for others, a service of somebody who sees beauty in so many places where most people just see ugliness, the service of bringing presence and stillness into other people's lives, okay, for bringing a sense of guidance or influence, and a lot of the time positivity. I think a lot of positivity, a lot of hopefulness, a lot of faith, right? A lot of creativity, a lot of different possibilities, potentials, about life. I mean, yes, you do. You also burst sometimes their bubble of their small perspective on life and their dogmatic beliefs and whatever it is, which they're obviously not comfortable with. But what I'm saying is that a lot of the time, even they feel that you're doing them a disservice, obviously, in certain aspects. Like when it gets deep, when you like sort of psychologically changing their operating system in a way, or their belief system. We know this, okay? When we're challenging their unquestioned beliefs and motivations and whatever it is, that we know is not appreciated necessarily. What does Oscar Wilde say? He says, if you tell people the truth, make them laugh while doing it, otherwise they'll kill you. Or something crazy, something hectic like that. But that's the idea. But okay, so not even on that extreme level. I'm just talking about being a sensitive individual and giving them a space for being influential in their lives. Okay, for not really making them question things, but just by doing things, you are inevitably going to make them question things. Maybe not. Maybe they're not even going to question, but they can see something different about you. And so what I'm saying is that even in your service, right, which is a one-of-a-kind service, it's a one-of-a-kind service, they overlook it, and they undermine it, and they take it for granted. And that just breaks your heart. Just breaks your heart. And so this is the thing, folks. This is the reality. I feel this is the reality for myself. And I got to know, I mean, first and foremost, I got to know my own personal validation. Like I know for myself, like the videos that I make, even though there are many people in my life aren't interested whatsoever in hearing my videos. Okay, they don't even ask me about them. They think it's a joke a lot of the time. Alright, they think it's a waste of time, and which is fine. They think what I'm about is a waste of time. Okay, that I really have nothing to offer. Okay, and that's it. That's what people. This is my challenge. I bless them in a certain way, in a different type of blessing, that they give me the opportunity to learn self-validation first and foremost. And then what it's also taught me is to seek, not really seek, but potentially look for, or in a way, from the people that I look up to in my own life for blessing. Do you see what I mean? So I'm not going to, let's say, Uncle Joe, who thinks I'm a, I don't know, wayward person, probably on drugs or something like that, called, you know, the drugs being maybe ayahuasca or, you know, what, maybe, which I haven't spoken about, or some kind of hippie, or some kind of flowery person, you know, Uncle Joe. Like, I'm not going to seek any sort of blessing from him. In fact, I care none. And also at the same time, I'm not going to go out of my way for Mr. Uncle Joe, because I also realize that my energy, this is very, very important, folks. This is something that I've really learned this week. That your energy matters, and your time matters. And don't throw pearls in front of swine. Okay? Don't do that. Don't lower yourself. Don't eat more humble pie than you need to in order to try and get recognition or appreciation from others that you don't actually even want their recognition, acknowledgement, or appreciation. And that can tend to be family members as well, especially mom and dad. Okay, so we've got to be very careful of that, depending on which age we are at. We've got to be very careful of who we look up to or towards for blessing, when in truth we don't admire anything about them, or very little about them. It's dangerous, very, very dangerous. So find those that you feel can bless you accordingly, and don't waste your time otherwise. And don't get your expectations up by all that you are doing, that other people will eventually come around, the ones that in your life especially, because those happen to be the most important, whether, you know, we like each other or not, or we're on the same page or each other. But for some reason we turn to the people in our lives, because a lot of the world really are strangers. So we turn to but don't be building an expectation. Don't think, well, I've come so far, and like really now it's about time that they give me the honor that I deserve, or they just don't ridicule me or put me down like they used to. Like they're going to stop their antics, they're going to stop their bullying nature, their manipulative nature. They're not going to see me as maybe the youngest of the youngest of the children, let's say, for mom and dad or uncle and aunt. They're going to see me as an adult. They're going to see me as an accomplished or accomplishing adult, right? Who's found their own way. Don't do that. Don't have an expectation of them coming around and, you know, giving you a round of applause and, wow, you know, you've gotten over your addictions, you've gotten over your anxieties, or not that anxiety is a problem, but gotten over your neuroses, gotten over your self-doubt, gotten over your low self-esteem or low sense of confidence, whatever it is. Just like, wow, you found yourself. You know, before you were so wayward, you were in bad company, you're keeping bad company, you were all type of your diet, everything about you was so worried about you every day, and now you really seem to be shining and come around, and don't forget about that. Forget about it, really, because it will. You don't realize how it will break you in so many ways. So yeah, be careful of where you put your expectations on others or whatever for yourself, and where you invest your time and energy, and who you look up to, and who truly matters in the sense of understanding and appreciating and loving and supporting who you are. Alright folks, we'll end off on that for now. Wow. Indeed. Alright. Many blessings. We'll chat soon. Take care.